towards the end of Perek Bet in Mishlei. Just a brief introduction for those of you who were not here in previous weeks. What has Shlomo Melech covered so far? In the very first chapters, it is somewhat of an introduction. He explains what this book is all about. He writes in this book through his nisayon, through his own personal experience, through his knowledge, through Ruach HaKodesh, very important advice in many areas of life, as we will see B'ezrat Hashem in the next year or two that will take us to cover. But in order to impress upon us how important this Sefer is, he has to describe why he wrote this Sefer and why is it so important. And in the very beginning, he extols the importance of Chokhmah, of wisdom, because that's what this all is all about. The Sefer is about Chokhmah, about Eitzah Tovah, good advice, and not just any wisdom, it's the wisdom of the Torah. So he has described to us the benefits, the importance of this Chokhmah, as opposed to the ignorance of it. Not having this as a tool in life can make a tremendous difference in our life. And we discussed the attitude that one has to have, the right approach on how to acquire this Chokhmah, that it's not just any course in college that we take, that we want to become knowledgeable about. This is Chokhmat Hashem. It's important that we have therefore the right attitude, the right approach on how to study and why we should be serious about the study of this Chokhmah. He went on to discuss the various individuals that exist in every society, the group of clowns, the fools, and those who simply do not want to learn, how that somehow interferes or can interfere with those who would desire to learn, because there is always these temptations out there and all these influences, and we can call them the influences of society, or as we would call it in Hebrew, the Hevra Ra'ah. In other words, there are actual dangers out there, things that will try to take us away from studying the Torah, from acquiring this Chokhmah. And so far we've discussed the Hevra Ra'ah, the society, the influence that exists in society. We spoke about that all beginnings are difficult, but nevertheless HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps all those who sincerely want to acquire this Chokhmah, and that therefore one should never be discouraged. And finally we spoke about the Tachlit of all of this, the Tachlit of acquiring this Chokhmah. For what purpose? It's not only to have a better life, a better understanding of everything, but the Tachlit of the Chokhmah is Yirat Hashem, that we should become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we should acquire the fear of heaven. This is approximately what was discussed up until now. In the second half of Perek Bet, he discusses additional dangers that exist out there. He wants us to become familiar with them, because again, they will attempt to move us away from acquiring this Chokhmah, from getting to our ultimate destination. And he reminds us throughout the Perek, including the next Perek, in Perek Gimel, that it is only through the Torah that we will be able to protect ourselves from all these dangers that loom out there. He begins as follows: Mezima tishmor alecha, tevuna tinsereka. Just going to give you a simple translation of this. Discretion shall preserve you, understanding shall keep you. Le'atzilcha miderech ra meish medaber tapuchot. To save you from the way of the evil man, from the man who speaks perverse things. What he's telling us right now is that, first of all, as the rabbis tell us, En hayetzer matzui ela belev shepanui me'achokhmah. The Yetzer Hara will be found only when someone's mind and heart are empty of Chokhmah. So just the fact that one has these machshavot, that one occupies and fills his mind with these thoughts of Torah, that in itself will not leave room for other thoughts to enter. You only have so much room that you can, in your mind, that you can handle at any given time. And therefore any additional infiltration of other thoughts will have a more difficult time. So therefore he begins by saying, Mezima tishmor alecha. Mezima are the thoughts of the Torah. If they are within you at all time, you will not think of doing evil. You will not be tempted as easily as those who are empty and who have nothing in their mind. Me'ish medaber tapuchot, that was the continuation of the pasuk, from the man who speaks perverse things. Which danger is he talking about right now? We already spoke about the fools and the clowns that make fun, that deride the Torah. Now we're talking about someone who's a lot more dangerous. We're talking about those who are truly evil and wicked. Those who are attempt to take us away from our emunah, to mislead us from our faith. And therefore they speak to us tapuchot. Tapuchot means anything that is crooked, anything which is a lie, or as we say in Yiddish, they try to sell us lakshan. And in reality, all it is a bunch of lies. A typical example is the major effort being made by the Christians throughout history to attempt to get more and more Jews to join their ranks. And many times they've used coercion, they've tried to force us when they realized they could not win a logical argument with us. However, at other times, especially in our times, there are many efforts being made to convince the Jew by proving to him from his own Torah that it says so clearly that their man, their Messiah came. And that is all, of course, a siluf. It is twisting the text, and it's totally wrong. I mean, it's a bunch of lies, but they're trying to use our text to convince us, and all it is tapuchot, complete lies, nothing but lies. The rabbis who anticipated all of these attacks at our faith warned us that we have to be prepared, we have to be very knowledgeable with our Torah, and they said, Da' ma shetashiv lapikoras, always know what to answer back to that individual who's a pikoras, who's a heretic, who tries to mislead you. We'll B'ezrat Hashem be reading very soon the Haggadah of Pesach. There are 4 children, Chacham, Tam, Rasha, and Yodel Ishol. We have to have the right response to each one of them. If one does not have what to answer, what to say, it's better that he not say anything. So he should not say the wrong thing. The rabbis therefore emphasize the importance of being prepared to contend with all these individuals who will always be there, trying to take us away from the Torah. There's an interesting midrash that anti-missionaries, in other words, those rabbis who try to defend, and they do an excellent job defending the Torah, defending Judaism by arguing with these missionaries, they use this midrash very, very much. The midrash says that any place in the Torah or in the prophets where there may be a pithon pe leminim, where there may be an opening for heretics to use against us, an opening meaning that there is a word or a phrase which they could misinterpret and can easily perhaps find a way to convince you. The rabbis tell us, if you want a quick defense, remember, the answer to their question or to their point, nimtzet v'tzidah. If they point to a verse which has an opening, in other words, which is can be subject to another interpretation, just remember, read on a little bit more, and you will find a complete answer or a clarification to this whole verse that may be a little bit obscure. In other words, don't give in just because they point out to something that appears to be, difficult to understand. And then Midrash gives some examples with some heretics approaching, I think it was Rav Simlai, and they said, Rabbi Simlai, how do you explain the plural of Elohim, that many gods, Halila, created the world? It says, Bereshit bara Elohim tashamayim ta'aret, Elohim is plural. And he tells them, wait a minute, does it say Bareu or does it say Bara? Does it say they created or does it say he created? It says Bara in the singular form. So you see? So don't tell me that it's talking about many gods, otherwise you would have to say they created. It says Bereshit bara, one. Bara Elohim et hashamayim. Why is Elohim plural? It's another idea behind that. But it says in the singular tense that it was only one who created the world. Same thing in the creation of man. It says Vayivra Elohim et ha'adam betzalmo. They asked him, wait a minute, it says Naseh Adam betzalmenu. Let us make the human being in our image. So he's talking in the plural. But in the end, when he makes him, what does it say? Vayivra Elohim. Vayivra in the singular. Who created? Only one creator. Hashem created. So that's what the rabbis meant. Every place where there may be an opening that's subject to interpretation, that could be misleading, Halila, just look on, read on a little bit more of the information. And the same is true with the prophets, Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu. If they ever try to ask you from a particular phrase that it appears to be showing that their Messiah has come, just read on further. And you will find there's a contradiction to what they're saying. Because it will say something about something that has not happened yet. Well, how could you say that he has come if the rest of the verse is talking about an event that you agree has yet to come? So if you ever have a question about something, just read on. The problem is that many Jews are unfamiliar with the text, and there are fertile ground for all these cults to take advantage of, to brainwash them. Next pasuk, Haozvim orchot yosher lalechet bedarchei choshech, who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness. The paths of uprightness, orchot yosher means the straight path. In reality, when a Jew is thinking about letting go of his tradition, you can point to him that all these years, all these generations, so many people, including your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents, have walked through this path, a straight path. And that has gone on for many, many years. How could you even contemplate switching directions overnight? Especially when we're talking about a dark path, to walk in the ways of darkness. What does darkness mean? Darkness is a lack of clarity, whereas the Torah is pointing to a very clear destination, to a straight path. Those who follow in the ways of darkness have no clear destination. They don't know where they're headed. They can't see. Hasmechim la'asot ra yagilu betapuchot. Now Shlomo Melech describes who these individuals are who are attempting to mislead us. They rejoice, they are happy to do evil, and they delight in the perverseness of the wicked. What he's saying over here is that this is not just plain desire. In other words, they want to have non-kosher food. They want to allow themselves to have a good life, and because of that, they let go of a mitzvah, or they let go of Judaism completely. We're not talking about this kind of individuals. We're talking about someone who is evil in the extreme. The reason for that is because someone who just has a desire, a ta'ava, he can always change his mind. He can always regret it later and come back to his old ways. He fell. His yetzer overpowered him because of a certain desire or interest that he had. We're talking about individuals, again, unfortunately many times these are Jewish individuals, that are simply wicked. They simply do not want to do anything that is right, anything which is good. Evil meaning ra, bad. And because they're so evil, they actually rejoice to the extreme. And you may see this kind of individuals who are extremists, they're called. In Israel today, there are extreme leftists, believe it or not. To the extreme. So it's no longer a logical objection that they have. It's not something that they argue about. It's extremism to the left. Just like they say that there is extremism to the right, there is extremism to the left. And this extremism is rejoicing, is happy in doing that which is evil. How do you know they're extremists? So the pasuk continues on to say, Asher orchotehem ikeshim unelozim v'ma'agelotam, whose ways are crooked and who are devious in their paths. And what that means is that if you want to be able to recognize them, these are individuals who are crooked in every way. It's not just in their views. Look at how they handle themselves at home, as husbands, as parents, as friends. They are crooked in their business affairs. In every respect, people who are extreme are not just extreme in their views, in every other way too. So you can recognize them because they are crooked. Une'elozim v'magilotam. Ne'elozim is also crooked, but it's even more than crooked. It's corrupt in every way. So what is the difference between their way and our way? What separates us and them is this chokhmah, this wisdom of Elohim, this wisdom of Hashem, that teaches us to go in one way and basically allows them to go in the opposite way. Next pasuk, Le'atzilcha mi'isha zara minochriya amareha chelika. Now things become even more difficult. This influence of heresy is one of the most dangerous influences of all. So much so that Shlomo Melech right now compares this influence to a strange or alien woman or a stranger who speaks smoothly. Now, the simple meaning over here, Latzilecha misha zara, to save you, to protect you from a strange woman, from those women who speak smoothly. Commentaries explain that it's talking about two kinds of yetzarim: the yetzer of arayot, the yetzer of adultery, of immorality. That is the isha zara, and the second yetzer of nochriya is the yetzer of avodah zara, of idol worshipping. That these two are very powerful yetzarim, and one can only protect himself with the Torah from these two yetzarim. However, the other interpretation is that Shlomo Melech right now is talking about that very dangerous influence called minut, or apikorsut, heresy, and he compares it to a isha zara, into a nochriya. He's talking about one who may have been Jewish once upon a time, who may have been observant, and who wants to let go. He wants to be porek ol malchut shamayim, porek ol mitzvot. He wants to let go of everything, of all the mitzvot. And the reason it's compared to a woman, to a dangerous woman, to a strange woman, is because heresy can mislead someone, and for him to return, to come back, is going to be very, very difficult. It is known in espionage, in those who spy for other countries, that many times they have employed women to lure or to tempt one to give out information. So Shlomo Melech compares it to a woman, such a woman that can mislead someone, and the danger therefore is very, very great. Why does he call it zara, a strange woman? Because these individuals who will mislead are willing to do anything to get you. The lowest kind of a maaseh, lowest kind of a deed. What's the lowest kind of a deed that a woman can do? Is sell her body into prostitution. Znut. In other words, she's an isha zara. She's a strange woman because she's willing to do something that you Jewish people would never do something like that. Jewish people are modest. So this kind of behavior, where one is willing to do almost anything to sell his views or to mislead you, is strange to us. Who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. Now he compares this woman to a woman who has let go of her husband, who she loved very, very much. For many years they lived together. They had a good relationship, and for some reason, either because of her ta'avot, her desires, it could be money, it could be she saw somebody else who was more handsome, it could be anything. Because of that, she let go of her husband. It says aluf neorea. Aluf means a prince. In her eyes, this husband, this man, was her prince for many, many years. And what Shlomo Melech is telling us, something which is not new, that this could happen even after 20 years of a husband and wife living together and having a good relationship, where she looked up to him, she decides to let go, and she betrays him. V'et Elohea shachecha, and she has forgotten the covenant of her God. Now, what is he talking about over here? He's comparing the relationship that Am Yisrael has to a Kadosh Baruch Hu to the strong relationship a husband can have with his wife. But just like it can happen that the husband and wife part after many years being together, it could happen that a Jew would let go of his ways and betray the trust that he had before, and let go of that very special relationship that he had with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There have been people who have been very observant before and have become not so observant. In other words, these things can happen. And it's a shame, because if one were to look at all the previous generation, how our forefathers, how they were so careful with the mitzvot, how they gave their lives for Judaism, how could one consider letting go? Now, this example of a woman betraying her husband being compared to a Jew letting go of his Torah and falling in love with something else is found in a slightly different language, different words in the book of Malachi Hanavi. Malachi discusses the opposite example, where a husband betrays his wife. And over there is also Bagdad, where you find the word treason. And what is Malachi talking about there? He's talking about a Jew marrying a non-Jew. That when a Jew marries a non-Jew, that in itself is also an act of treason. A b'gida. Letting go of one's faith, abandoning one's faith is like a woman abandoning her husband. Marrying a goya is like a husband abandoning his wife. In other words, the same idea, a relationship that could have been once strong can fall apart. A Jew who could have been once observant can let go of his observance. Now he emphasizes over here that we're talking about a covenant that we had with God, a covenant that we had with Hashem. The emphasis of the covenant is as follows. Just look at any other culture and any other religion. No one can claim what the Jews claim, that we heard the word of Hashem in Sinai. We all heard it, 600,000 males over the age of 20. We said Na'aseh v'nishma. We had made a covenant, a permanent covenant. No one else can make this claim. Now, Christians have approached me too. They say, but Rabbi, well, why don't you accept the fact that this guy came and gave you the New Testament? I said, very simple. The first time around, God himself appeared to us. I heard him. It was bekolot uvrakim. It was very, very powerful. And therefore we were all convinced. This guy, I don't think he convinced anybody. 100 years later, people put together this New Testament based on what they think he said. You expect one individual to change history? If you want me to change my mind, I have to have the same God who appeared to us, appeared to all of us, not to one, two, or three individuals, appeared to all the Jews together and said, and tell us, I changed my mind. I have a new Torah. And that, of course, will never happen. So once you say that to them, there's nothing they can say, because that makes sense. Hashem wanted us to be convinced beyond any doubt, and that's why he impressed it upon us with miracles, by speaking to us at least the 10 Commandments, by witnessing miraculous events to reinforce our emunah. And that is how we were convinced forever. We were so much convinced that we were willing to die for this. Vayaminu b'Hashem Moshe Abdoi was clear. How do you expect an intelligent man to let go of all this tradition just because you say that this one guy came and said he's the Messiah? One guy. Just because he walked on water. Right? And that could have been witchcraft. So we're talking about the covenant that we have with Hashem. Judaism is not just a culture, a civilization. We're talking about a covenant with Hashem that we have. And that's exactly what one is letting go of when one betrays that faith, that relationship, by switching camps, by allowing himself to be misled and joining these heretics. Shlomo Melech continues to explain the dangers of falling in this trap, the trap of a woman. Kishacha el mavet betah vel refaim magilotea. For her house inclines to death and her paths to the dead. What he's saying is that anybody who goes in this path will lose his life, his body. In other words, he will die early. Chaz v'shalom. That is the meaning of Shacha el mavet betah vel refaim magilotea. And to the death leads this path. We're talking about after death. And therefore it's talking about how the neshama is affected. One who follows this path, therefore, not only will lose his life, physical life, his body, but also his neshama is being lost by following this path. Kol ba'eha lo yeshuvun. None that go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. Kol ba'eha lo yeshuvun velo yasigu orchot chaim. And here what he's talking about is that it's those who fall into this trap, the trap of heresy, or the trap of a non-Jewish woman, a bad woman. It is very difficult to let go. There are many, many Jews, unfortunately, who have girlfriends, non-Jewish girlfriends. And that is a very, very, according to the Kabbalah, a very thick kelipah of tum'ah, a very thick shell of tum'ah that is being attached to him, even if he's not married to her. Just by being with her, it's very hard to let go. He's so hard to let go that the Kabbalah says she follows him upstairs to the Shamayim too when he passes away. That mashchit, that angel that is created from this sin, does not let go so fast of him and continues to follow him, and he has a very difficult time with this. So in real life, one who has fallen to this trap he could still let go, but it's very difficult to let go. The same thing with minut, with heresy. There are some cults out there that if a Jew falls into their trap, it's very, very difficult to get him out. And I'd rather not mention the names over here of some of those cults. Just letting you know that they need tremendous amount of help. Some of them are very difficult to get away from. And the second part of the pasuk is Velo yasigu orchot chaim. To do teshuvah will also be difficult for them. Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts teshuvah for every sin, for this type of a sin, it will be difficult. What's the difficulty of doing teshuvah? Because many, many times Hashem helps us. He sends us all sorts of signals, wake-up calls. With this one, you're on your own. You do it on your own, I'll accept you. And for someone to do it on his own, it is very difficult. That is the meaning of Kol ba'eh lo yeshuvum velo yasigu orchot chaim. Be careful, because getting out of this is very, very difficult. He goes on, Le'ma'an telech b'derech tovim v'orchot tzadikim tishmor. Now he goes back to explain what the benefit will be in following the Torah. That you may walk in the way of good men and keep the paths of the righteous. What he's trying to impress upon us over here is, many people feel that Judaism is difficult. Hashem demands of us to do certain things, and it's very limiting, very restrictive, and its life is difficult to be a Jew. Shlomo Melech reminds us that all this chokhmah and this way of life is really for our benefit. It's not restrictive at all. As Moshe reminds us when he reviews the Torah, Letibecha b'haritecha. This is in order to benefit you in the future, in Olam Haba. The entire Torah that was given to you is not restrictive to hold you back, to make your life miserable. It is for your own benefit. Leman telech b'derech tovim. You have a lot to gain from this. Ki yesharim yishkinu aretz utmimim yivat ruba. Towards the end of Perek Bet, he tells us what that benefit is. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the innocent shall remain in it. What land? The Eretz HaChaim, eternal life. It says the ultimate benefit of all of this is not only in this world, but is that you will have a share to the world to come. Isn't that worth it, therefore? In these last few Pesukim, Shlomo Melech is making a very, very powerful point. That it's important for a Jew to continuously remember, to continuously focus that this life, or that this world, is a temporary world. And there's a beautiful mashal that explains this as follows. There was once a businessman who wanted to send a shaliach, a messenger on an important mission, important business transaction, to this faraway city. And he had two choices of who to send. He had somebody from his hometown that he knows that can go on this mission, or he had someone from that town where the messenger needs to go to. In the end, he chose. Tell me, explain to me, it doesn't make any sense. Why should you send him and not send me? I know that town, I am from there. I know the people who you need to meet with. Doesn't it make more sense that you send me? So the businessman answers as follows. I know you know that town very well, but because you are from that town, I know if I send you on that mission, as soon as you arrive at your hometown, you're going to go to sleep, you're going to take it easy, you're going to go home, and you're not going to take care of my affairs. Therefore, I'd rather send somebody that I know from my hometown who does not know anything but business. He's going to go directly and take care of what I need him to take care of. That is the mashal over here, with focusing on Olam Hazeh and not on the Tachlit, which is Olam Haba. There are some individuals who think that this is it. That's what they are here for, to enjoy life and to live it up, as they say in English. And there are other individuals who are more focused on the Tachlit, on Olam Haba. They get straight to business, and they do what needs to be done. Those who think that this Olam is a permanent place, in other words, this is all there is, they're never going to accomplish anything. And that is what Shlomo Melech towards the end of this Perek reminds us, that this is perhaps one of the most important things, important points to keep in mind at all times. Remember to focus that this world is a temporary world. The rabbis talk about this point in many places in the Gemara and elsewhere, and how this Olam is like a prosdor, it's like a hallway. Prepare yourself in this hallway because eventually you have to go to the palace. They tell us not to overdo it. You know, people overdo, they build themselves tremendous palaces, and before you know it, they have to leave it all. Why spend so much? Don't overdo it. It's an overkill, as they say in English. For what? For just a number of years, you're not going to even enjoy it for long. There have been people known to have built their dream homes, and spent a fortune of money and effort, and just to die the following day before they can enjoy it. They spend so much, a person does not know how long he will be here. So focus on Olam Haba, because that is the tachlit. Another important interpretation of this pasuk that we just said before, Leman telech bederech tovim v'orchot tzadikim tishmor, that one should walk in the ways of good men, is as follows. There is a story in the Gemara with Rabbi Bar Chana. Rabbi Bar Chana hired several workers to carry heavy barrels of wine. And at the end of the day, they broke many barrels of wine. So he had a tremendous loss. So he took away their clothes. They basically ruined his wine, and he wanted to get some compensation for it, so he took away their clothes. They went to Bet Din, they went before Rav. Rav was the judge, and they complained to Rav, look what he did to us. We worked for him a whole day, and he took away our clothes. And Rabbi Bar Chana says, yeah, but they broke all my barrels, and all the wine spilled, and they didn't do their job right. So Rav says, the halakha is, I tell you, you have to give them back their clothes. So Rabbi Bar Chana says, is that really the halakha? And Rav does not answer him. Next, now they start crying to Rav, and he didn't pay us anything. We were poor people. We don't have anything to eat. We worked for him a whole day. We were very devoted, and he's not even paying us a penny for all that time. And Rabbi Bar Chana says, I don't owe him a penny. They didn't do anything for me. They broke everything. Rav tells him, you go ahead and pay. Pay them for what they did for you. So Rabbi Bar Chana asks him again, well, wait a minute, is that really the din? That's the halakha that I owe them? He says, just pay them. That's what I said that you need to do. Now, why did he tell him to do this? According to the halakha, Rabbi Bar Chana was right. According to the halakha, why did Rav make him pay? Why did Rav make him give them back their clothes? So the Gemara continues on to say that as Rabbi Bar Chana was complaining that this is really not the halakha, it doesn't appear to me like the halakha, Rav told him this pasuk, give them back their clothes, leman telech bederech tovim, in order that you should walk in the paths of good men. When he asked him to give back the money, he didn't say that is the halakha. He told him, no, the reason why you're going to pay them anyway is v'orchot tzadikim tishmor, that you should preserve the ways of the righteous, the paths of the righteous. This is called lifnim mishurat adin. There's something called din, there's something called halakha, there's something called lifnim mishurat adin. You go beyond the call of duty, I think they call it in English. You do more than what you're supposed to do. You don't have to, but you can. Rav was telling Rabbi Bar Chana, even though you may be right, I know you. For you, mat'im, it will be correct, it will be the right thing for you to do is to nevertheless pay them. Even though you don't have to, but for you, a person of your stature, it would be right. Why? Because of this pasuk. To walk in the paths of good men. This is the way to be a good man. What does that mean? It means that good has no limits. And when somebody is aspiring to complete himself, to refine his character, to elevate himself, he needs to be capable of going beyond the letter of the law, going beyond that which is expected of him, to do more. That's called derech tovim, the path of good men. He ends the perek by telling us, Urshaim, ki yesharim yishkinu eretz, we said already, utmimi yivateru ba, those who are upright will dwell in the land, and the innocent shall remain in it. That is a remez for Olam Haba, that those who followed in the path, in the good path, will have a helek, a share to the world to come. Whereas Urashaim me'eretz yikaretu uvogdim yisachu mimena, but the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it. That is talking about Gehenom and Olam Haba, that all these individuals who followed in the path of the wicked, of evil, will not have a share to the world to come. Obviously, all of this is on condition that they did not do teshuvah. I'd like to end with a little bit of an explanation of what tov is. After all, what he has been doing all along here in this perek is distinguishing between the forces of good and the forces of evil. The Torah, which encompasses all that which is good, and all the many temptations and challenges out there and evil that exists out there, that is called Ra. Two camps that are opposing at each other at all times. What is Tov and what is Ra? If we were to define it, we spoke about the Chokhmah, that if we study the Chokhmah, it will lead us to fulfill the mitzvot, it will lead us on the right path, it will lead us to this tachlit called Tov. But what is Tov in itself? And we've explained it a little bit in the past, I think in Parashat Bereshit, and perhaps when we spoke about Mechiyat Amalek. The word Tov, if you ask someone what is good, he will tell you what is good for him. But what is good for you may not be good for someone else. Because the Tov in human terms is something relative. So we cannot define Tov, because again, what is good to us may not be good for everybody. What is there for Tov? Only what Hashem defines as Tov. When Hashem created the world, He talks about His creation after every day. Hashem says, and I saw that this is good. What's good? Good means beneficial. Everything that Hashem created in the world, therefore, is beneficial. It has a purpose. Even opium, believe it or not. Right? It has some benefit. Right, Abraham? Yes. Some benefit. Everything Hashem created in the world. Tov, which Hashem designates as good, is beneficial. There's a reason why He created it. It is complete. Hashem, therefore, whatever Hashem created is complete, is ready-made. The human being was the only one that was not ready-made. He's born as a baby. But everything else in the world, the oil is in place, the gas is in place, the trees are in place. When the world was created, everything was in place. Fruit-bearing trees on the spot. Everything that the world needed was created. Tov is therefore something which is complete, something that's beneficial, something which is tachliti. Tachliti means that it leads to a tachlit. There's a reason for it. Hashem designed it for a reason, for a purpose. That is what Tov is. Tov, according to the Kabbalah, is also the power to be meitiv, the power to do good with others. That which is naturally good has the ability or the desire to want to do good to others. Hashem is Tov. Hashem is all good. Hashem is complete. There's nothing lacking in it. And the nature of good is to want to do good. And the whole creation of the world is an act of love, an act of goodness to the world, to humanity. Therefore, anyone who is not meitiv, who does not do good unto others, only thinks of himself, is definitely far from being tov, because the nature of good is to do good unto others. Now, because the Ra, the forces of evil, are just the opposite of good, exactly the opposite of that which is good. They want everything for themselves. They want to take away from that which is good. They are always at each other's throat. These are the two forces that Hashem created in the world in order to allow for free will. And because it is always trying to defeat that which is good, or to interfere with it, rabbis tell us that anything which is tov, tzarich shemira, needs to be protected. You need to take care of it. You need to watch over it. Because the forces of evil are very, very powerful, and they will always try to weaken that which is good. The only way that we can properly protect the tov is through the Torah. And that is what Shlomo Melech was trying to do, is to impress upon us not only the importance of all this chokhmah, the benefit that we'll have in this world, the benefit that is waiting for us in Olam Haba, but all the additional benefits of how it protects us. It insulates us from all the evil that's out there, from all the elements, from all the influences. As we've said in the past, that the Torah is a tavlin, it's an antidote for the Yetzer Hara. So people say, oh, it's difficult, I can't do it, I can't manage it, I don't have the time to learn. Even spending 15 minutes a day, it's a tremendous medicine. Take this medication, it's good, and it's a mitzvah, and it's powerful. It will put you on the right path. And that is, by the way, the only protection you have against all this evil, because as the Rambam points out, that human nature is to do that which society does. Human nature is to be influenced. If you take this man and put him in the street without any Torah, most individuals will follow what society does. The biggest proof is style. Something is style, everybody becomes a slave of that style. They're no longer creative. They no longer wear what they'd like to wear. They have to wear what somebody in Paris decided they should wear. And the women have a very difficult problem with this, much more than the men, because they have to change so much more often than men do. The men's style don't change so often. And something that was beautiful a year ago can sit in the closet for 10 years and gather dust. Chaval. She spent $450 for it, and now she's sitting in the closet, accumulating dust. I still don't understand the logic, but that's the way the mind works. That people are very much affected by society. And in order to protect ourselves from all these elements, we have to have something more powerful. And that which is more powerful than anything else out there is the Torah. And last but not least, it may surprise some of you that there are very, very powerful forces out there that you may not have encountered yet, may not be aware of. One of them called kishuf, witchcraft, ayn hara, evil eye, demons, shadim, and the like. Real powerful forces of evil, not human in nature. And they exist, and they can be very, very difficult to deal with, to protect oneself from them. I'm not going to discuss this subject right now because it has nothing to do with Mishlei, but I just wanted to let you know that they exist out there. They have caused a lot of trouble. Witches have always been a problem, and witchcraft is something which is a big problem. Not only the witchcraft of Mitzrayim, but witchcraft in general. They have been known to cause a lot of harm to people. Whoever follows the Torah, learns the Torah, fulfills the Torah, is offered protection even against all these forces of evil. So for all of the reasons that we just mentioned before, it is a good idea for one to protect himself with the Torah, to protect his home with the Torah, to protect his children with Torah. This is a tremendous benefit that he will receive in Olam Hazeh and Bezat Hashem in Olam Haba as well. Okay, so Bezat Hashem next week we'll begin with Perek Shlishi.